Help me thank the band this morning. Yeah, good job. Good job. Thank you for the reminder to us that really the battle doesn't belong to us, it belongs to God. And he is bigger and stronger than anything. And the wisest thing that we can do is just get in the flow of what God's already doing. And he is moving and got a great plan. And so we just come along with him. Right? Just get in the flow of what God's doing. Yes? All right, just checking. If this is your first time checking in at CCW, I just want you to relax. And something that I truly believe, and you're going to hear me say a lot, is we really don't care where you've been. We really don't. We don't care where you've been. We care how you're doing today, and we care what your future looks like. And so I just want you to sit back and relax and take it in. If you want to use YouVersion, it is set up for you. You need your location on, and all of these things, these notes and scriptures are going to be there for you. You can follow along or check it out later. You can save it, go back to it this week. In this whole thing, we're in the middle of a talk called Who Are You? And if you don't know who you are, then you're not going to know how to live. You're going to be guessing and trying to figure all of that stuff out. So this is why it's so important to me that we know who we are so we know how to live. And if you've placed your faith in Jesus, then you are a son or daughter of Almighty God. And I hope that you believe and embrace not what other people say about you. See, it really doesn't matter what you say about you. It doesn't really matter what other people say about you. What really matters is what God says about you, and he calls you his masterpiece. You are not garage sale junk. You are not a loser. Whatever happened in school this week, whatever happened in your life this week, maybe you had a rough time at your marketplace and your boss wasn't real happy, your coworkers, it doesn't really matter because God still calls you his masterpiece. If you live in that, you're going to start, if you understand your identity, you start living out that way. All right, so the last couple talks we have spent in Ephesians. So if you have a Bible, you can open up to Ephesians chapter 4. We went through Ephesians 1 through 3. Now this morning we're starting Ephesians chapter 4. And I need to pause a little bit. I'm going to slow down in this and I'm going to explain it. The big question now in this talk of who are you, there's two questions that ask the same thing. I'm just going to ask both questions. What does it look like to live as God's masterpiece? What does it look like to live as God's masterpiece? Or what does it look like to live as an authentic Jesus follower? Probably means you're not wearing a Cubs hat to church. I'm just kidding. Skip said he was going to be ready to jump on me for that one. I don't really care about that stuff. What does it look like to be an authentic Jesus follower? What does it look like to be God's masterpiece? Now, answering this question, or these two questions, I just have to let you know, I got to slow down. I feel like God is telling me to slow down. We're not going to get that far into Ephesians chapter 4 today. Here's why. I don't want to be up here as some kind of information dump truck. And getting through all of chapter 4 today and just, okay, we made it through. And then what would happen is this. There's so much packed into chapter 4. This is what would happen. There would be too much information, and so my concern is that we're not going to focus on any of it because it's too much. There is enough in a couple verses today that we haven't mastered those things. And so we're going to just go really slow through chapter 4. So next week, your homework is again, get into chapter 4. We're going to tackle the middle of the chapter next week. Okay, so let's get to it. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 1. Therefore, I can't even get past the first word. Therefore, because of all that Paul has written in chapters 1 through 3, therefore, this is what he's saying. Therefore, I, a prisoner for serving the Lord, beg you to lead a life worthy of your calling, for you have been called by God. The person who wrote this is Paul. And so you see what he's focused on? You see where he is so zero focused that he states that he's a prisoner. Why? It's actually a voluntary thing for him. He is a prisoner for serving the Lord. That is his focus. Because of who he is as a masterpiece, an authentic Jesus follower, he is so focused that I am giving the rest of my life, I am volunteering the rest of my life to be a slave for God. That's what he's saying. Now, there's one more thing in this verse that I don't want to blow past. He is not saying, hey, yo, don't forget. He's actually stating, I am begging you. I am begging you to not forget something. I'm begging you to not forget who you are so you know how to live. He says this, I beg you to lead a life worthy of your calling. Now, original language, I'm not going to give you a bunch of Greek words and all that kind of stuff, but in this text, this worthy life and the calling is equal importance. It's equal weight. So your identity and how you live is of equal value, equal importance. And this is not a Sunday thing. It is an everyday calling, an everyday life that is really important. Your speech and your behavior is equal value. It's together. Years ago, I don't play golf very much, and when I do play golf, it looks like the horses have been through all those little divots throughout the thing, but years ago, I was playing golf in South Florida with some unchurched guys, and I don't remember what hole we were on. Doesn't really matter. And we're probably halfway through or so, and I remember we were goofing off, and we're laughing and stuff, and it's my turn to tee up. So I'm teeing up, and I don't remember if I was laughing. I don't remember if the club slipped my hands. It really doesn't matter, because when I swung and hit the ball, it went almost straight right into the water. And I'm 50% sure I didn't cuss. I'm just kidding. I thought you'd laugh at that. I don't cuss. I'm 80% sure I didn't cuss. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't cuss. But I did say something like, "Oh, poop." And then Larry turns around and he goes, "That was a horrible shot. Is that the worst thing you could say?" And then he looks at me and he says this, "Oh, I forgot who I was talking to." I'm kind of glad I hit the ball in the water. It's not like, "Hey man, you really need God in your life." We talked about this, but I'm glad that he noticed. I don't always get it right. Just ask my family. I don't always get it right. But what I'm saying is our identity and our behavior, it matches. Have you ever heard the saying, talk is cheap? It is. Our behavior is so important. What you do always proves what you believe. What you do always proves what you believe. So what does it look like to be the masterpiece of God? A Jesus follower equals this. If my conduct is going to be right, then my attitude has to be right. If my conduct is going to be right, then my attitude has to be right. See, this is how it works. Whatever you think about, whatever you dwell on, becomes your belief system. And whatever becomes your belief system, that's how you live. It comes out. Whatever you put in here and you focus on, and then it comes out. And that's just how it works. So I want to give you 3 attitudes from the text that we need to embrace. And so this whole thought of our identity and our behavior, it's really, really important. And there's 3 attitudes. When we embrace our identity as children of God, sons and daughters of God, we're going to embrace these 3 attitudes. So this is our assignment for the week. Number 1, when we embrace our identity as children of God, we will have 3 attitudes. Number 1, it's on the screen. Say it with me. Humility. And you're going to say, well, of course, humility. Of course. Well, let me go. I skipped verse 2, so I'll put that verse 2 up. I got ahead of myself. Let's go back to that. If we can put the verse 2 up. There we go. So I need to read this. Ephesians 4, verse 2. Always be, what's it say? Always be humble and gentle. Be patient with each other, making allowance for each other's fault because of your love. Okay, so now, when we embrace our identity as children of God, we're always going to be humble. Now, you would think, of course, a follower of Jesus can be humble. Of course. It makes so much sense. When this was written, this was a brand new concept. The people in the church in Ephesus, this would be so foreign to them, and here's why. In the Greek culture, remember weeks ago we talked about the big Colosseum and the amphitheater where they're screaming about the goddess Diana and all that kind of stuff, and it's all of these gods, and except the God of the Bible, and all of that thing was going on, and they wanted to kill Paul because he's preaching about Jesus. This is the culture. This culture believed that humility is a vice. They believe that the only people who should be humble on this planet are slaves. So when Paul writes this to the church and he says you should always be humble because you're a follower of Jesus, this is a brand new thing. And so they're stepping back and like, wait. That's what the slaves are supposed to be. Yeah, that's why Paul said, I'm a prisoner of Jesus. I'm serving the Lord. And so I'm following after him, and this is what I'm telling you. Jesus is the perfect example of humility, and I'm supposed to be like Jesus. I'm following him. So you must be humble every day. He's rocking the boat and telling them your everyday life should be full of humility. Jesus is the greatest example of humility. If we're going to follow Jesus, be Jesus followers, then he's humble. He left heaven where he was being worshiped, and he came to this planet where so many people hated him, put him on the cross. He humbled himself. So we should be humble. Okay, let's keep going. And before we get to the next thing about being gentle, the context here, verses 1 through 16, Paul is really targeting unity among church people. He's targeting unity among Jesus followers. So it makes so much sense that he starts with humility so that we come together and we give grace to each other. And so this statement I'm going to put on the screen, it's there. It's not too deep. It's not too difficult. It's nothing that's so absolutely profound. And it doesn't really matter if you apply it in the church, you apply it in your marketplace, you apply it in your school or on your sports team. It really doesn't matter because this statement is true. This is the statement. Pride promotes what? Pride promotes disunity, while humility promotes, say it with me one more time. Pride promotes, while humility promotes. It makes so much sense. If we can just humble ourselves enough and we can see other people, we're not the most important person in the room. And we see other people and we start seeing their needs and we start seeing their shortcomings and we start understanding. I shared with our teenagers Wednesday night. I'm up at Lake Ann speaking, and I'm talking to about 200 4th and 5th graders, and we're going through chapel. And I never do this. I never call somebody out and scold them from the stage until this time. And there's this kid just goofing off, not paying attention. And I don't remember his name, but I looked at him and said, if you don't knock it off, I'm going to have you go sit back there with so-and-so. Look, where'd that come from? And after chapel, I'm walking through the campus of Lake Ann, and God is just nailing me. What'd you do that for? You don't even know that kid. Maybe you should start praying for him instead of calling him out from the stage. So I did. I started praying. I went up, I started talking to him that week, and I found out his home life is horrible. He doesn't know how to behave in church because he doesn't go to church. And here I am telling him, man, you better behave yourself. And I just started crying out to God for this boy. Thursday night, he put his faith in Jesus. By Saturday morning, he's hugging me because he doesn't want to go home. It broke my heart. But who do I think I am that you better listen to me, you better knock it in. And I'm like, humility, now I recognize what's going on. He didn't know how to behave. So he's behaving what he knows. Humility. Humility promotes unity. Second attitude. When we embrace our identity as children of God, we will have three attitudes. Number one, humility. Number two, gentleness. This is the word meekness. It's not weakness. You've heard this say, meekness is not weakness. It's actually the opposite. It is strength under control. That's what we're talking about. As followers of Jesus, we have to be in control. We have to be in control of our emotions. We have to be in control of our attitudes. We have to be in control of our behavior. If we're just lashing out all the time and just not in control, it's confusing. It's confusing to Jesus followers as well as unchurched people. So if you're thinking that gentleness and meekness means you can never be angry, that's not the teaching. It means that as Jesus followers, we're angry at the right time and we're never angry at the wrong time. That's what it means. So let me give you a couple examples of this. I'll give you three. Injustice should always rile us up. I'll give you a simple one. If you see somebody kicking a puppy, that should bother you. It should bother you. Cats, I'm just kidding. So let me give you two examples from the Bible of meekness, strength under control. In Numbers chapter 12, it says in Numbers chapter 12 that Moses was the most humble, meekest man on the planet. Yet we see him angry when people sin against God. Jesus was meek and humble in heart. And we see him flipping the tables over when they're sinning in the temple, when their thieves are ripping people off. And he's flipping the tables over. So it's be angry but don't sin. This is strength under control. And just because I think this gets so confused or watered down or passed over, we have to be gentle or meek. I want to give you 3 more scriptures of the exact same Greek word in other contexts. So I wanted us to get a picture of what this is. Gentle. Galatians 6:1. This is what a follower of Jesus looks like. Dear brothers and sisters, if another believer is overcome by some sin, you who are godly should gently and humbly help that person back onto the right path. And be careful not to fall into the same temptation yourself. Colossians 3:12. Since God chose you to be the holy people he loves, you must clothe yourself with tender-hearted mercy, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Now this next verse, I wish more than Jesus followers would adopt this verse. I am so it's crazy to me. So here's the verse, 2 Timothy 2:25. Gently instruct those who oppose the truth. Perhaps God will change those people's hearts and they will learn the truth. Gently. Man, we're getting into a season in a month or so where elections are coming up. Man, I'll tell you what, there's all kinds of things flaring all over the place and people saying stuff. And in my heart, I'm like, Ruth Bader Ginsburg died. And I'm like, why can't we just give her respect? And she got a family. I mean, we're already just blowing right past her life. We should be decent people. Be gentle about things. I wish we could. Next attitude. When we embrace our identity as children of God, we'll have 3 attitudes: humility, gentleness, meekness, patience. Now, I'm assuming you're probably thinking patience means to be tolerant, to be long-suffering. That's not what it means in this text. This is what it means in the text. Patience is the spirit which never gives up because it endures to the end, even in times of adversity. Patience never gives up. Even in the middle of hard times, I'm going to keep being patient. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep enduring. There's endurance. It's like a marathon. It's not about being tolerant. It's about continuing through when adversity is all around. I know that some of you listening to this, this is tough. This is tough. And I know that if God expects us to adopt this, I also count on God for this. He's going to help us do it. And I want to remind you that part of the fruit of the Spirit, it's not the fruit of the Christian. This is something that God gives us. One of the last things of the fruit of the Spirit is self-control. It's not our self-control, it's God's self-control. And so if you need to endure to the end, he is going to give you self-control. This is a self-restraint that when you are wrong, you're not going to quickly retaliate. This is what happens with most people. As soon as they're nailed, as soon as something happens, and they flip it. And we go, yeah, you'll see. This is the patience of, you know what? I'm just going to keep following Jesus, and I'm going to pray for you, and I'm going to get through this, and I'm going to get through this, and God's going to give me self-control, and he's going to give me self-restraint, and he's going to help me, and you count on God to do that because he promises to. So what's next? What's next in the text? Let's go back to Ephesians 4:2. We do not like this one. We don't. And this is why I can't just blow past this quickly. Always be, say it with me, church, always be humble and be patient with each other. Now here it is. Here's the one we don't like. Making allowance for each other's faults because of your love. All right, so here's the thing. When we mess up, when it's us, when we do something stupid, man, we hope people give us grace. We hope that they give us allowances, for our faults. But when they mess up, man, it is on like Donkey Kong. People still say that? Anyway, you get it. When people mess up, man, we are so quick to jump on them and jump down their throat. And man, I'll tell you what, and man, oh man, what are we doing? This is a crazy, crazy thing. So, I just want to tell you about this attitude thing. If we are going to make allowance for people's faults. We already know they have them. I mean, we're all flawed people. If we're going to make allowance for other people's faults, you know what that's going to require? It's going to require love. You know what else it's going to require? Humility. You know what else it's going to require? Gentleness. You know what else it's going to require? Patience. Humility, gentleness, patience, and love. Is that how you're living? Is that how I'm living? Is like this. You know, I try to be a good leader for our staff. And I try to be a good boss, you know, and we have this old nasty lemon tree that keeps showing up under people's desks. I don't know how it gets there. Anyway, but here's the thing. I've even written this in some of their job descriptions, and it goes something like this. If you mess up, if you make a mistake, just own it. And tell me. I don't really like surprises. Just, I'm going to find out anyway, so tell me. And then I followed up with this. I promise to give lots of grace because I know one day I'm going to be the one that needs it. Giving grace to people. I don't know when we will ever not need grace. Can you think of the day that you have arrived and you no longer need grace because you're not going to mess up anymore? Think about that. I mean, let me ask it this way. Who do we think we are to not give people grace because they sin differently than me? Why do we do that? We are instructed to make allowances. Man, I'm telling you what, I have 5 children and a tired wife. I thought that was funny. Anyway, never mind. It'll hit you later. And my kids, man, I'll tell you what, as soon as something happens, they're like, you ate the last Dorito. I'm like, what in the world? We'll buy more. What's going on? Making allowance for faults. Imagine what your family's home life would look like if people made allowance for faults. Imagine what your workplace, imagine what your church would look like if we just gave grace. Now, there are people in your life with faults. There are people in your life that got problems. And for some of you, it's taken everything you got to not do one of these. Amen. So if you want to, just turn to your neighbor and say, you got problems. Go ahead. And if you're watching online, why don't you just pop in the person's name, say they got problems. I mean, we're just having a little fun with this. I mean, but think about this. You know, as you go through life, as Jesus followers, that means we're grace givers. It means that we respond the way Jesus responded to us because we're trying to be like Jesus. And why do we do this? Why in the world would we have an attitude of humility and gentleness and patience? And why would we be grace givers? Why would we make allowances for people's faults? And here's why. It's because we love. It's because we love. And where does this idea come from anyway? Why did Paul even write this? You do it because of your love. Why did he do that? It came from Jesus. And this is what Jesus said at this Last Supper. He's gathering everybody together. He says, hey, I got something brand new for you. Time is short. I got to tell you this. And this is what he says in John 13:34 to us. So now, I am giving you a new commandment. Love each other. Love each other just as I have loved you. You should love each other. Your love for one another will prove to the world that you are my disciples, that you're my followers. Jesus says, and he tells us, this world is going to pay attention to how we treat each other. And if you're thinking that an unchurched person has no idea how a church person is supposed to act, you're wrong. They absolutely have ideas how Jesus' followers are supposed to act. And when they find us loving, and when they find us being humble, when they find us being gentle, when they find us being patient, when they find us loving and giving grace, man, is that attractive. And it draws them in. But if you're all cranky and snotty-nosed, have a nice day, don't tell me what to do. I mean, that's really attractive. You know, I can't believe church did that. What pastor did? What did he wear a striped shirt for? What's wrong with him? I mean, what's wrong? That's really attractive. But love. We do things out of love. Why are we having a Destiny Rescue in 2 weeks? Because we love people. We love people we haven't even met. And we believe that there are people who are slaves and in sex trafficking, and we're going to do something about it. That's because we love. Anyway, I wasn't planning on going there, but I want to invite the band to come back out. I'm just going to recap this and encourage you to go through your challenges and your homework this week. Who are you? Who are you? Whoever you believe you are to be, or whoever you believe to be, that is how you're going to live. If you think you're a loser, if you think that you're some garage sale junk and your girlfriend dumped you or whatever, I mean, if you focus on all of your failures, you feel like a failure, then that's how you're going to live. But if you embrace what God says about you, his masterpiece, a son or daughter of God, you're going to live like that. So, I want to give you the challenges. 3 challenges. Is our band coming? Hopefully. All right. So here's your challenge. Number 1, challenge for the week. Number 1, if I'm going to live as an authentic Jesus follower, then my everyday life will be a life worthy of my calling. Your everyday life is going to be a life worthy of your calling. Equal weight of who you are and how you live. God's masterpiece, his son or daughter. Right now, you know what challenges you got coming at you. You know what you're walking out of these doors. I have no idea. You know what's coming this afternoon. You know what's coming tonight. You know what's coming tomorrow. What are the challenges in front of you that you got to be ready for? As a Jesus follower, you're going to be humble. You're going to be gentle. You're going to be patient. You're going to be loving. Whatever it is, God help me. I need you in the middle of this right now. Man, I am dread going to school tomorrow. I am dread going to work tomorrow. I'm dreading whatever. It's, God, you can empower me to do this. My everyday life, I'm counting on you to lead me through. Ephesians 4:2, always be humble and gentle. Be patient with each other, making allowance for each other's faults because of your love. Number 2, second challenge, homework number 2, if I'm going to live as an authentic Jesus follower, then my conduct will be right. And my attitude will be right. I will be humble and gentle and patient. Number 3, homework number 3. If I'm going to live as an authentic Jesus follower, then I'm going to love like Jesus and make allowances for other people's faults. I'm going to be a grace giver, just like Jesus gave to me. Imagine the impact that you could have if you just not focused and didn't act, but if you focused, counted on God's strength, God's Spirit fills you up, empowers you to plow through, and you plow through the challenges as a patient person, as a humble person, as a gentle person, as a loving person. Imagine the impact in your home, in your school, your marketplace, in your church, at the grocery store, wherever. Imagine the impact that we all could have if we lived like Jesus. The only way you can do it, in my opinion, the only way you can do it is to depend on God. In and of myself, I am not always a patient person. In and of myself, I have shortcomings and I have faults, and I'm not always humble and I'm not always gentle and all that stuff. But I'm telling you that this is the focus. This is the challenge that God is putting before us. If we're going to be an authentic Jesus follower, then this is what we're going to do. Our behavior and our attitudes are going to be right. So you have to throw away all of those thoughts and attitudes that you thought defined you. You may be tripping up over something in your past that you look over your shoulder. I hope no one finds out. You're ashamed. I'm telling you, when you put your faith in Jesus, you become a brand new creature. All of that stuff is gone. And even if you have sinned since you were a Christian, you got 1 John 1:9. You can go to God every day and say, I confess. Will you please forgive me? And he wipes it away and he separates as far as the east is from the west. He buries it in the deepest sea. And God is not stupid. What he's saying is, I choose to remember it no more. You are still brand new and you can be clean right here, right now. Whatever it is, all that stuff is in the past. So focus on what you have is right now, the present. Focus on this and be patient and gentle and just be decent, loving, and humble. Just be a Jesus follower and see what he does with that. Let me pray for you. Father God, I said I want to pray for them. I need it. I need your help to be humble and to be gentle and to be patient and to make allowance for people's faults. Sometimes I can get really impatient. I get impatient with my own family. I get tired, whatever it is. God, I want to be an authentic Jesus follower. I want to live as your masterpiece. I want to make a difference on this planet. Before my life is done, I want to know that I accomplished something for you. So just as Paul said that he is a servant to you, God, I want that. And I pray that for everybody that's listening to this prayer, that they would just surrender to you. Allow you to just pour your grace over them if they're not yet a Jesus follower. Man, we just embrace it and allow you to make them brand new. And God, help us to just be grace givers, to stop being so judgmental. I pray that you help us all to be humble and gentle, meek, patient, and loving. We just put it in your hands. I know that there's challenges all over the place. I'm asking you just plow through it. May you help all of us with the homework that we've been given. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Would you stand and join with us? Dave's telling us that we're supposed to be Jesus followers. We're supposed to act as much as we can like Jesus. And the reason for that is that because there is nothing better than Jesus. There is nothing. So let's proclaim that as we sing together. Search the world, but it couldn't fill me. A man's empty praise and treasures that fade are never enough. Then you came along, put me back together. Satisfied here in your love. Sing it out now, come on. Oh, there's nothing better than you. There's nothing better than you, Lord.
So if you are here or checking in online, and you try to be humble and gentle and patient and loving, then what I say is keep going. And if you're here and this is something that you know you need to change in your life, then what I'm encouraging you is, pray before you leave. Ask God to go before you. Just like we sang, He can turn something that's really bad into something really good. This is something I used to say in churches, like, God's enemy's going to come get you, and he may give you a flat tire, until the day that the person went out after church and they had a flat tire. I'm like, okay, note to self, I can't use that one anymore. But this is what I do believe, is you're going to be tested. If you've lived a certain way and then you're going to give God a chance in your life, make sure you are connected to God. Make sure you're tight. And just go and be patient and gentle and humble and just love people. Just go do it. If we don't represent the love of God on this planet, who will? So go out there and do it. And just start right here. Start with your church families with you. I love you. It's so good to see you. Start with your family as you see them today, your coworkers, your schoolmates, whatever it is. Just do it. This is what God is expecting us to do. If you need some kind of help, hope, or healing, our elders will be up here in the corner. You can go over here and join them and pray. They're just going to love you and pray with you, and you're among friends. And so please, if you need some help, just migrate over there as the band plays us out. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for making CCW your home. We love you. We're so glad that you're here. I pray you have a great week. God bless you. Thanks for coming.